Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English Practice Podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jock.
We are really happy you're here with us today. This podcast is all about learning real English, the kind of English people actually use in daily life, not just the kind you find in textbooks.
If you enjoy learning English through real conversations, simple explanations, and friendly vibes, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell. It really helps our channel grow and reach more English learners around the world. All right, let's take a moment to relax. Take a deep breath, and let's start learning together.
Emma, can I be honest about something? Of course. What's on your mind?
When I was learning English, I used to feel extremely confused about two small words, to and for. Even when my English started improving, those two little words still made me nervous.
Oh, wow, same here. They're tiny words, but they can create big confusion for learners.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that native speakers use to and for all the time without even thinking about it.
Yes, but learners think about them a lot. They often stop mid-sentence and ask themselves, wait, should I say to or for?
And that question never seems to sleep.
That's why today we're not going to teach grammar like a strict textbook. Instead, we're going to learn to and for through real conversation.
Real life.
Real feelings.
Real English. Let's start with a simple moment from this morning. This morning, I made coffee for you, Jack.
Thank you for that, by the way. And yes, that sentence already shows something important. You made coffee for me.
Exactly. The coffee was for someone, the receiver. You received the coffee.
And later this morning, I walked to the kitchen.
Perfect example. You walked to a place. So here we already see a pattern starting to appear. To often shows direction. For often shows who receives something.
But don't worry, we're not going to memorize complicated rules today. Instead, we want to feel the language.
Yes, feeling the language is much more powerful than memorizing grammar tables. Let me ask you something, Emma. What's a sentence learners say all the time?
Oh, I hear this one constantly. I understand English when I listen, but when I speak, my brain freezes.
That frozen moment. Your mouth wants to speak, but your brain suddenly says, wait, is it to or for?
Exactly. And then the conversation pauses.
That's why we practice with stories, emotions, and real situations. Let me ask you something, Jock. Why do you learn English?
Good question. I learn English to communicate with people.
Perfect example. You learn English to do something, to communicate, to connect, to share ideas.
And you, Emma, why do you learn English? I learn English for my future.
Ah, that's interesting, because now we hear a different feeling. You learn English for a reason or benefit, for your future, for opportunities, for growth.
See the difference? To often connects to actions or goals. For often connects to reasons or benefits. But again, don't memorize that like a rule. Just listen, repeat, and feel the pattern.
Let's tell a short story from yesterday. Yesterday, I bought a gift for my sister.
That's sweet. What was it?
A book. She loves reading.
So the gift was for her. She was the person receiving it.
Exactly. And I also went to the bookstore to buy it.
Perfect sentence. Let's break it down naturally. You walked to the store, you bought a gift for your sister, and later you gave it to her.
Look at that. One small story using to and for naturally.
Let's talk about daily feelings. When I'm tired, I listen to music.
And when I'm stressed, I go for a walk.
Nice example. Go for a walk, go for a run, go for a drive. English has many natural patterns like this.
If you're listening right now, try saying this with us slowly. Ready? I'm learning English to improve my life. Now try this one. I'm learning English for myself. Both are correct. Both feel natural, but the feeling is slightly different, and that's okay. English doesn't require perfection. It requires connection.
Emma, who do you learn English for?
Honestly, I learn English for myself and for the people I want to connect with.
That's beautiful. Listeners, try this sentence in your mind. I'm watching this podcast to learn English. Now try this one. I'm watching this podcast for my confidence.
You're already practicing real English.
I love how natural this conversation feels.
Me too. English becomes easier when we stop fighting it and start using it.
You know, something funny happened this morning.
Uh-oh. When you start like that, it's either funny or embarrassing.
A little bit of both. I was making tea, and suddenly I thought, wait, do I use 2 or 4 here? And I froze, just standing there with the kettle in my hand.
No way. You froze because of 2 and 4?
Yes, even teachers have those moments. And then I thought about our listeners. How many times do they stop mid-sentence because of these 2 words?
Probably every day. I see comments like, I made this for you, I went to the store for buy milk, I'm here to you.
Oh wow, my brain hurts already.
Same. But that's exactly why today's episode is so important. We're learning real English, not just grammar rules.
Let's talk about direction again. When you say, I'm going to the kitchen, that's movement. You're moving from one place to another. But if you say, I cooked dinner for my family, now we feel something different. Your family benefits from the action.
Let's combine them into one natural sentence. I went to the store to buy vegetables for my family.
One sentence, both words, completely natural.
Let's try another one. I'm learning English to speak confidently for my future.
That's perfect. Your future benefits from it.
One reason learners struggle is translation. They translate word for word from their own language, but English doesn't always work that way. English works better with patterns and feelings.
Let's talk about a very common mistake. I explained this to him for help. That sentence doesn't work. Correct options would be, I explained this to him to get help, or I asked him for help. Notice something? We say ask for help, not ask to help.
Another emotional example. I'm happy for you. Never say I'm happy to you because for expresses emotional support.
But we say, I want to talk to you, because talking moves toward someone, direction again.
Let's try a small test. I wrote a letter, blank, my friend. What would you say?
If you focus on the action of sending it, you say, I wrote a letter to my friend. But if you focus on helping them, you might say, I wrote a letter for my friend. Both can be correct depending on the meaning.
English can be sneaky, but it's also beautiful, and the more you listen, the clearer it becomes.
Let's talk about morning routines. I wake up early to exercise, purpose. I make breakfast for my kids, benefit. I go to work, movement. I work hard for my family, motivation.
See the pattern? English repeats itself again and again, and when something repeats, it becomes easier to learn.
If you're listening right now and still feeling confused, take a deep breath. You're not bad at English, you're just learning patterns, and patterns take time.
Don't try to memorize everything today. Instead, listen, notice, repeat, and slowly your brain will begin to recognize the patterns naturally.
You use to when you talk about direction, purpose, or intention. You use for when you talk about benefit, support, or receiving. But remember something important. Mistakes are normal. Mistakes mean you're trying, and trying is how fluency grows.
Keep listening, keep speaking, and little by little, 2 and 4 will start to feel natural. And that's exactly what we want, because English becomes powerful when it feels natural, not when it feels perfect.
You know, Emma, something interesting happens when learners start understanding patterns like this.
What do you mean?
At first, everything feels confusing. Words like to and for feel like little traps in the language.
That's true.
Learners often feel like English is testing them all the time.
Exactly.
But then, one day, something changes. Instead of thinking about grammar rules, they start noticing how people actually speak.
And that's when English begins to feel natural.
Not perfect, but natural.
Let's imagine a real-life situation again. You're talking to a friend after work. You say, I stayed late at the office to finish my project.
That's purpose.
Yes.
But then you say, I did it for my team.
That's motivation.
Exactly. Both sentences feel completely natural. No grammar stress, no confusion, just communication.
Let's flip the situation. You visit a friend's house. You say, I'm going to my friend's house.
Movement again.
Then you say, I bought snacks for my friend.
Benefit.
Exactly. English repeats this pattern constantly in daily life, and repetition is one of the best teachers.
Let's talk about studying English itself.
That's important for our listeners.
Why do you listen to podcasts, Emma?
I listen to podcasts to improve my listening skills.
Clear purpose.
Yes.
But I also listen for inspiration.
Ah, that's a benefit.
Exactly. English learning is full of these small emotional motivations.
Confidence is another good example. You might say, I practice speaking to become more confident. That's your goal.
But you might also say, I'm learning English for my confidence. That's the emotional benefit.
Confidence doesn't appear overnight. It grows slowly, like a plant. Every conversation, every podcast, every small mistake helps it grow.
Let's talk about helping people. You might say, I'm here to help you.
That's action.
Yes, but later you say, thank you for helping me.
Because the help already happened.
Exactly. So sometimes to looks forward and for looks back.
That's a powerful way to understand the difference. To often looks toward the action. For often looks toward the reason or result.
Let's do a small listening moment for our audience. Just listen. Don't analyze. Don't pause. Just feel the sentences. I went to the library to study. I studied hard for my exam. I called my mom to check on her. I worry for her sometimes. Did you hear the pattern? It's everywhere.
Now let's talk about work situations, because many listeners use English at work. In professional emails, you often see sentences like, I'm writing to inform you. Very common, very polite. But at the end of the email, you might say, thank you for your time, not to your time. Always for your time. Because it expresses appreciation.
Apologies also show this pattern. You might say, I'm sorry for being late. That's regret. But you might also say, I came early to apologize. That's the action.
Let's slow down again and speak directly to our listeners. If English sometimes feels heavy in your head, that's normal. Learning a language is not a straight road. Sometimes you feel confident. Sometimes you feel confused. Both are part of the process.
If you mix to and for, it's okay. Even advanced learners make these mistakes. The most important thing is communication. If people understand you, you are already succeeding.
Native speakers are not perfect either. They make grammar mistakes all the time, but they keep talking. And that's the secret. Fluency grows when you keep moving forward.
Let's return to daily life again. Imagine a simple morning message to a friend. You text them, I'm going to work now. Later, you might say, I'm working late for my project. Both sentences feel simple and real, because they are.
Another example, I saved money to buy a car. That's a goal. I'm saving money for my family. That's a reason.
English becomes easier when you stop trying to translate every word. Instead, focus on the meaning, focus on the situation, focus on the feeling.
Let's talk about giving advice. You might say, I recommend this podcast to beginners. You recommend something to someone. But you might also say, we created this podcast for beginners. That shows the target audience.
Very similar words, very different meanings, and both appear in real conversations all the time.
Let's talk about explanations. Many learners say, I explained him the problem. But natural English says, I explained the problem to him, because explanation moves toward a person.
But you might also say, I did this for him, because he benefits from the action.
Little by little, the difference becomes clearer. Not because you memorized it, but because you heard it many times.
That's why podcasts are powerful tools for learning English. You hear real voices, real emotion, real rhythm, not robotic sentences.
And the more you listen, the more your brain begins to recognize patterns automatically. One day, you won't even think about to and for. You'll simply speak, because language lives in use, not in theory.
You know something interesting, Emma? When people learn grammar, they often imagine grammar as something very strict, very serious, almost like a list of rules.
Yes, but real English is softer than that.
Exactly. Real English bends. It moves with life.
Words like to and for quietly connect your actions with your intentions. They help you explain what you do and why you do it.
Let's talk about dreams for a moment. You might say, I'm learning English to travel. Clear goal. But you might also say, I'm learning English for freedom. That's deeper. Language opens doors, new cultures, new friendships, new opportunities.
Let's imagine another everyday moment. You're tired after a long day. You say, I'm sitting down to relax. That's the action. Then you say, I need this for my mental health. That's the reason.
English allows you to express both action and emotion, and that's why small words matter.
Let's talk about kindness. You might say, I called you to check on you. Action with care. But you might also say, I did it for your peace of mind. Now the sentence feels warmer, more human.
Many learners try to control every sentence. They want perfect English, but perfection often slows them down. Real conversation moves quickly. People speak, they laugh, they interrupt, they continue. So instead of chasing perfection, chase communication. Speak to connect with people, not just to pass an exam.
Let's talk about encouragement. If you're listening right now and thinking, I still feel confused, that's okay. Confusion means your brain is learning something new. Clarity comes later.
You don't need to understand everything today. Just understand a little more than yesterday. That's progress, and progress is powerful.
Learning English is a journey. You practice to improve. You continue for your future. You study to communicate. You continue for yourself.
And one day, something amazing happens. You stop thinking about grammar rules. You simply speak, because language lives in use, not in theory.
So take your time. Enjoy the process. Listen when you can. Speak when you can. And remember something very important. You're learning English to communicate. And you're learning English for yourself. That's the most powerful reason of all.
If today's episode helped you understand English a little better, don't forget to support Everyday English Practice Podcast. Like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who is also learning English, because learning together makes the journey easier.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking English with confidence. See you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.